But what's for you may not be exactly what's for me, but what's for me could actually be better for me. Because what's for you, I may think is better for me, but when I have it, I realize it actually wasn't better for me.
Right.
And so sometimes we're not happy for others for a reason that we don't understand. And so unless, again, we do some self-reflection, understand that what's for me is for me. This is why if someone says, oh, we're going to start a podcast too, and 10 other people say, we're going to start a podcast too, I'm not like, well, they're starting a podcast, we started a podcast, everybody's starting a podcast, because our podcast is for who it's supposed to be for, and they're only going to hear from us what they need to get from us.
That's true.
And I don't care how many businesses you start like somebody else. They can only get it from you because the way you present yourself, because of your brand, because of who you are, how you communicated with, or how you communicated to your audience. Right. They're only going to get it from you. I don't care even if you charge more. They're like, look, I'm buying it from you because there's something about you that resonates with me.
Right.
And this is what I mean by that whole, trying to compare yourself and insecurity and I want what you want. You may actually not want what they have.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Welcome, everyone, to the Self-Talk Experience. I'm Tracy Self, and that is my co-host. Anyway, so today, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Well, before we start,
okay,
can we say something about our sweatshirts?
Yeah, and we've talked about this on an episode,
yes.
And I didn't even realize that there was a brand involved, right? Like we were talking about just do it. Do it scared. Do it now.
Do it ugly.
Like, don't wait to become perfect. Just get
do
that
it.
thing done.
Just do it.
So go check out the Do It Ugly brand on Instagram. It's called Do It Ugly.
I love it.
So, we said we're going to do this podcast. Mike's all crazy, fumbling all over everything, downstairs in the house. Like, get some lights. Let's just go.
Let's just do it.
We don't have to have a professional studio. Let's just go, baby. Do it.
And
Listen,
we are doing it.
We're doing it. Self-talk, the self-talk experience. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves and even who we attract for ourselves. And today, we are going to talk about genuinely, like authentically being happy for others.
Yeah.
This is a good one here because it can be done in a way where it is inauthentic and we ruin relationships.
What do you mean?
So we could say, oh, that's nice.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? And they're like, they don't even we said it. We said the words, right? Like, I'm so happy for you.
Yes, but people can read energy and they can feel if your vibe is not where it should be.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not about the person. It's about what you're going through, but it came across like you weren't happy for them.
Right. That's true.
Right?
True.
And so this is what I want to talk about on our podcast, because there's so many things to consider. Like some folks are like, oh, they just hating on me. No, they just didn't see your post. You're like, they ain't like you. See, they ain't like my post. They missed it. They were sick that day.
I'm famous for missing stuff.
Right.
I don't see it.
Right. And sometimes people do, though. So that's the thing. Sometimes people do sit and they like, not liking that. Like, they really aren't happy. And because sometimes it's tough, right? Some insecurity there. Right? People play the victim role. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people aren't happy for other people. They feel like that'll never happen for me. Why does it get to happen for them? I think I do everything right. Everything I'm supposed to do. Why did it happen for them? So they're so worried about why it hasn't happened for them. Let me just talk about me. Why it hasn't happened for me. I'm like, well, how did it happen for them? So, but it stops them from being happy for people. Now, I'm not talking about people you don't have a relationship with. That's one thing. I'm talking about people you have a relationship with. Like, I'm not expecting I hope no one expects me, for someone I don't really know, to leave them a voice memo or inbox saying, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for your son who just graduated. I mean, people don't really expect busy people to go through and do that for everybody they see who graduated, everybody they see who has a birthday. But if you know the person,
you have a close relationship with them.
it should be expected. I would think is expected. You think?
I do. I don't know. Sometimes like you said before, you never know what someone's dealing with internally.
Yeah.
And it could have nothing to do with you, or it could have everything to do with you. And it's up to you, or, the person, to decide which way they want to go with that. Do they want to make it personal? Like I'm learning not to do so much.
Right. Our last episode, right?
Yeah.
Don't take it personally.
Do you take the high road? And sometimes it's a simple conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you think people miss out by taking it personally and not celebrating others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that your self-talk has a lot to do with that. Because just like you said, sometimes if you see something going great for someone, it's not about the person. You immediately go to, I wish that was me. I wish I could afford that. I would love to do that with my family. So it's not even about the person's happiness anymore.
Right.
It's not like you're not happy for them, but you're being unhappy for yourself.
Right. That's so good. Because you took the focus off of the thing that they expected you to externally express based on their accomplishment.
Right. So you're not scrolling by because you're hating. Oh, there they go again. You're scrolling by because I don't even want to see this anymore because I don't have a man.
Right.
I don't have a job. I don't have money. So it's not that you're not happy for them. You just aren't expressing it. You're putting it back on you.
Mm-hmm. And that's a possibility, right? That's what we're saying. It could be the other way. But what about if you and I've talked about this because this was you, right? And you have grown through this. And we're all growing, right? So we talk about our faults too on this podcast.
Yes.
Like you miss out unintentionally on the opportunity to say congratulations because you're like, well, you didn't tell me. I just happened to find out.
Oh, yes. That too.
Yeah.
Because when your feelings are hurt, when you're taking it personally.
Yeah.
So you may know that someone's getting married, someone got engaged, and you're really happy for them, but they didn't tell you. You found out on social media, or you found out from maybe another family member or something.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, that's nice.
Right.
Wish they would have told me.
Right.
But it's not about you.
Right.
It's about being happy for them.
Right.
And just because you didn't get the information the way you wanted to get it, it's still okay to be happy.
Yeah.
But that I can speak on that because that's something that I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I knew, maybe I would have called you. Maybe I would have bought you a present, but you didn't tell me.
Right.
And it's hard sometimes not to think that way.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't. We shouldn't.
Right.
We shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I love most, I think it's a passion of mine, it's celebrating the growth of others. Right? Like, you know that.
You're really good at that.
Like, if someone tells me, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. I finally did this. I finally read the book. right? Any accomplishment that was outside their comfort zone that shows or exhibits some type of personal growth or development, man, I can't wait to celebrate that win.
Yeah.
And so when you don't get that in return, sometimes you're like, man, like I'm so happy for others. But again, I have to appreciate that it's not that people aren't happy for me. They may not express it the same way I express it.
Everybody has different levels of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to appreciate that.
I know.
But also, too, sometimes if you really feel excited about what's going on for you and you want to share it or post it on social media, sometimes you could get 1,000 likes, but if it's not from certain people that you care about,
You don't care.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you still feel, well, maybe that wasn't so great
Right.
because my favorite cousin didn't like it, or my best friend didn't even mention it, or my mom, I know she saw it. She didn't say anything. But wait, what about all the other people from your job and from your church?
Right.
All these other people that loved it and
Right.
told you how amazing it was,
Right.
but for some reason you wanted to hear from certain people.
Yeah.
And then that could really go along with your relationships going in different directions, and no one ever said,
Yeah.
it hurt my feelings. You didn't even
Yep.
say anything.
Never said anything.
So then you wonder why you get 10 years down the line. It's like, we're not as close anymore.
Right.
But it's because, I don't know, I'm
Yep.
going down a rabbit hole.
No,
But-
no, you're not. This is really good because like the 4 love languages, right? Or are there 5?
They're 5.
Oh, they're 5 now,
They're
right?
5. Not 5 now. They're always 5. You just acted like they just all of a sudden added one on. Let's add another love language. So let's confuse Darnell. Darnell, what are your love languages?
There are 5 love languages.
There are 5.
So I brought it up because that is so funny. I'm such a sales guy, man. I'm like selling y'all. Look, they added another one. There's no way I didn't know that. No, but it reminds me of the love language words of affirmation. Because if one of your love languages is words of affirmation, then you're looking to be affirmed by a particular person.
Right.
Like no one else has to say you look pretty that day, or no one else has to say congratulations that day. But because you're looking for that person affirms you, and that's your love, because that's the person who you have a love relationship with.
Right.
Right. So your love language is important coming from that person, because you're like, I thought you loved me. I
agree with that, but kind of don't agree with that.
Okay, yeah, tell
because that's not my love language, but there's still certain people that I want to be proud of me and that I want to hear from.
Yeah.
So it could go hand in hand, but it also doesn't necessarily.
Yeah. I just wonder if you're looking for affirmation even more if that's your love language.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if it's not,
right?
Everyone has certain people in their life that they want to hear from.
Right.
That they want to be excited for them.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like we did the whole print personality thing, and it said that everyone encompasses a little bit of all of them, but you just have majors and minors, and then some of them, just don't show up as much.
And certain instances trigger some people, but maybe not some others.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just think that from our experience and dealing with a lot of different people, that sometimes, and I have to take a look at myself, that sometimes it's me not looking inwardly to say, am I playing a victim in this situation?
Wow.
Because sometimes people play the victim role, right? So it's not about they're not happy for me. Some people, like I just put the post up, some folks.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it. What was it?
The post was that sometimes, be careful, because sometimes people walk around starting fires and then complain about being burned.
Oh, I did see that, yes.
So when you think about the victim role, I mean, people are a victim role sometimes. One, they want to control you. And so by playing the victim role in a relationship, they have the control.
Well, sometimes people just want attention.
Well, that's another one. People play the victim for attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So why'd you say it like that?
No, I just thought of it.
You're thinking about a particular incident you want to discuss with our viewers, self-talk experience viewers? Go ahead.
I do not. I do not recall.
Right. So some people want to take control, right? And so they play the victim so they can control them. They'll be like, oh, really? I'm so sorry. And now they controlled it, right? Some people put stuff on social media to play the victim so they control what all the comments are. Right. And so, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It just is.
Yeah.
Right. It also stops them from having to take responsibility, because you're the victim. It's
like, woe is me.
Right. It says that it was nothing I could do to change this.
Yeah.
This was put on me. I'm the victim. I had no responsibility. I had no
control.
No control over this.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's tough, right? So we see folks often do that.
It's tough. It is.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that, I would say, in terms of being happy for others, is one, try your best not to feel insecure about who you are and why you are where you are. And we've talked about this, because it's not what's happening to you, it's what's happening for you. And
so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying that perhaps you can't be happy for someone else only because of your insecurities, maybe because you think you can't ever do it, or you think you can't ever get there.
That's correct. And
because if I really believed that I could be on the beach for 2 weeks, I would be happy for
that is absolutely
my friend
right.
that was on the beach for 2 weeks, because I know that I have the opportunity to do that too. But if I feel like I'll never be able to do it, it's kind of like, yeah, good for her.
Right.
Right?
Right. And but what's for you may not be exactly what's for me, but what's for me could actually be better for me. Because what's for you, I may think is better for me, but when I have it, I realize it actually wasn't better for me.
Right. Right.
And so sometimes we're not happy for others for a reason that we don't understand. And so unless, again, we do some self-reflection, understand that what's for me is for me. This is why if someone says, oh, we're going to start a podcast too, and 10 other people say, we're going to start a podcast too, I'm not like, well, they're starting a podcast, we started a podcast, everybody's starting a podcast, because our podcast is for who it's supposed to be for, and they're only going to hear from us what they need to get from us.
That's true.
And I don't care how many businesses you start like somebody else. They can only get it from you because the way you present yourself, because of your brand, because of who you are, how you communicated with, or how you communicated to your audience.
Right.
They're only going to get it from you. I don't care even if you charge more. They're like, look, I'm buying it from you because there's something about you that resonates with me.
Right.
And this is what I mean by that whole, trying to compare yourself and insecurity and I want what you want. You may actually not want what they have.
But can you be insecure and not even realize you're being insecure?
Absolutely.
Because you may not even realize, wow, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I guess that is all in your self-talk and self-reflection.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why, my mornings have to, listen, if I don't start my mornings off the right way, my whole day is messed up. Like I got to start my morning off with 3 things I'm grateful for. That way I'm not thinking about what I don't have, what they have, because that's not being grateful.
Right.
You know what I mean? The first thing I'm grateful for is I wish I had what they had. That doesn't flow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the second thing is I'm mad about not being able to have this yet. That's not grateful.
Not at all.
Right? So if you start your day off the right way, you've already positioned yourself in a place where you worked on that insecurity because you're not thinking about what you don't have. You're thinking about how grateful you are to have what you do have.
Yeah.
And then as things happen throughout the day with the things you don't have, you're still so grateful because you started your day off only thinking about what I'm grateful for. So what you have, I'm not mad at that. I'm not jealous of that because I'm so grateful because I started my day off with the things I do have.
But doesn't it make you feel better when you aren't holding stuff in and you just get it out? So if you see something that deserves a compliment or deserves a like or words from you that could be encouraging, instead of holding it in, when you let it out, like if you walk and you see somebody, you think to yourself, she is so pretty. Instead of holding it in, I sometimes feel like I have to stop and say, I'm sorry. I just thought that you were pretty. I just wanted to tell you.
That's
it
wonderful.
Just sometimes frees up the space in your spirit to just say the nice thing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good takeaway. That's a good takeaway.
Just say the nice thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think things and then after a minute I have to go back and say, yesterday I was thinking about you and how amazing you did X, Y, and Z, and I didn't tell you. So I thought I'd send you a quick text just to tell you that.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I feel like, that feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And I think it's a great takeaway for all of us, right? To work on that because we believe in habits. Mm-hmm. And so every habit that we've had in the past has created the person we are today. And every habit we start today will create the person we want to be in our future. So let's create some habits out of complimenting other people. And don't expect anything in return. Let's work on being happy for other people without expecting anything in return.
And also, too, you can be different because I wasn't that person. And so you don't have to say, well, that's good for you, but I'm not that person. You can be.
Yeah.
You can become that person.
So true.
You used to say all the time, I was quiet and wasn't saying anything and came across mean, but I feel like I'm evolving away from being that person.
You are, wifey. You are evolving. Look at you, man. The caterpillar in the cocoon.
My point is, podcast audience, that I know from experience that you can go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And it may not be in the time you feel like it should be, but it can happen and it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yep.
If you're stuck, you don't have to always stay stuck.
Yep.
You don't have to.
Yep. Just do it now. Do it scared and do it ugly. Just do it. All right, guys. Another episode of Self Talk. We appreciate you all. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract and even who we attract for ourselves. Don't play a victim. Play the superstar, superhero that you are.
And be nice.
If you've ever started something and said to yourself, I'm not quitting until I reach the finish line, there's a perfect podcast for you. The We Won't Quit podcast by my man, Mike Humes, mailman and millionaire, never gave up. Not only did he have success, but he's helped a ton of other people do the same thing. He's going to be interviewing people who never stopped until they finish. So check it out. We Won't Quit podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Self Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.